Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live here at Dizzy's Club Coca-Cola here at Jazz in Lincoln Center here in New York City. Tonight I'm going to introduce you to a young lady who really has taken the jazz world by storm over the last decade. In fact, in addition to her being a successful band leader and introducing her brand new band Elektra this evening, she's played with a myriad of greats ranging from Nicholas Payton, Joe Chambers, Rufus Reed, Reinhard Harper, and the Diva Jazz Orchestra, just to name the endless few. Tonight, Sharel Cassity is playing with her band Elektra, and it's a myriad of jazz funk as well as a lot of contemporary music in the fold. Tonight, I had a chance to sit down and break bread with her to talk about this brand new recording as well as the new band and why she decided to record and release this on her brand new record label, as well as talk about her role as an educator as well as a musician, and also talk about her origins and how she was exposed to jazz music. So sit back, relax, and enjoy highlights of the official New York record release of Sharel Cassity and her band Elektra, performing live here at Dizzy's Club Coca-Cola, here at Jazz at Lincoln Center as part of the Pace Report here in New York City. I have seen you play with a lot of ensembles over the last decade, and this is the first time that the world gets to hear you and your new ensemble, Elektra. Tell me why you decided to move forward with this new ensemble now.
I think there are a lot of things in the world and in music that need to evolve. And I love jazz. I love straight ahead jazz. I've played it my whole life. But I decided I need to use influences from different musics that have influenced me throughout my whole life and not just from jazz or classical. So I tried to think of some music that the world could actually use right now. At the jazz festivals that have stopped playing, jazz as we know it, and started playing R&B, why not give them an option of music that's electronic and fits their venue and what they think is jazz, but that also is creative music, is inspiring for the musicians, and that we can have the same interplay and blues feel that we have in jazz.
Miles Davis took it to another level about 50 years ago with Bitches Brew, and he
Mm.
he incorporated jazz, world music elements, and everything that was hip and funky at the time. And in order for this music, as well as hip hop and R&B, you have to always kind of keep that third eye open.
That's true. And in this day we have artists like Robert Glasper and Corey Henry and Nicholas Payton. They're all moving the music forward in a way, that R&B has influenced our society. Rock has influenced our society. All kinds of different music, gospel, is big in our society today. And um, we need to embrace that. That's not something that I think we should just put a blind eye towards, like you said, have a third eye on the music.
On this album, in this group, you have Ingrid Jensen, you've got Freddie Hendrix, Mark Whitfield, Linda O, Jonathan Barber. I mean, this band is just funky within funky itself. And I just, listening to the CD a couple of times, I had to digest the fact that this is just an electric funky band.
Thank you. That was the point. So I'm glad you heard it that way. Um, yeah, I'm really happy to have all the great musicians that I've had on the album. And every one of them is a musician that has stood by me since I've been in New York. You know, um, I've been friends in some way or another with them throughout most of my time in New York. So I feel very lucky to have them all on one recording.
I want to piggyback on something that you said earlier about all of the contemporary. I mean, one of the things that I would love to see more jazz artists do is play music of their generation. And Alicia Keys is definitely out of your generation by way of a couple of years. And you decided to cover one of her songs. Why would you put a take on her song for this project?
I liked this particular song. I do love Alicia Keys, but I like this particular song. I thought the song New Day spoke to a feeling that we all had at the time. This was 2 years ago now. Things were changing. Obama was president, and we were making strides, I felt, as a community. And a new day for me symbolized just, I kept hearing the song in my head. It's a new day. It's a new day. And it just seemed very positive, and I came up with this arrangement of the song. And that's what I think we should be doing, is coming up with arrangements of songs, of that are of our generation.
I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war. That the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word.
What is it like becoming from behind the scenes and accompanying other musicians to now you manning and really making sure that your vision in your band implements what you envision?
Yeah, that's a totally different thing. Is coming from behind the scenes to the front as a band leader. You learn ways to get what you need out of the musicians musically. You might be hearing something, but you didn't put it on the paper. So you have to realize that you have to let them know what you're hearing and mold it and try to get the way you want to sound and look and the whole presentation.
Changing the gear and changing the sound of jazz. It's not hard, but it's not an easy thing to do also, right?
Right. It's not easy.
Tell me your role as a female band leader and a composer. What are some of the things that you are hearing sonically when you commence to writing as well as putting this band together?
Well, when I compose, I try to compose something that's honest, that really speaks to me in the moment. I spend a little time every day composing, and I usually start, with the bass line, some chords, and feel it come together. And it's more of an organic thing. And then I use, my training on the hind end, on the back end, to really finish the composition. But as a band leader, I want that to come across, that all the tunes are honest, they all tell stories, and they come from the heart.
As a female band leader and a saxophonist and as an educator, what is it that you are trying to do moving this generation forward with the music? Because right now it seems like culture right now is putting people in this box. You're not this, you're not this, you're this or this. And jazz to me is about liberation and also freedom. And it's like you know how to handle all facets of this music.
Yes, I got tired of those boxes. Not too long ago, I just decided I was tired of the boxes. Everyone wants to put you in this box or that box or this section of genre, in jazz, and music doesn't have anything to do with that. And it doesn't have anything to do with notes on a paper. Everyone thinks you can put it in a folder and it's tangible. You can't. Music is in the air. Music is in you. And I got tired of that. So that's why I created this group in a large way. This is what I want to do. Finally, I don't feel like I have to do anything because someone else would think that that's jazz, or this is what I want to do with my instrument, with my music. And female or not female, I think that we should all strive to be free like that.
On the education side, because now you are an instructor and you have been conducting clinics all over the world. What is it that you stress to the next generation of musicians? And also, you kind of in that area too, where you kind of have to mentor the other musicians also coming up.
That's true. And I find with students in many places, they're not so interested in the history. And I still think the history is very important. You can't fly until you know where the ground is. You have to learn to run first. And so I stress the history, but I also stress melody and lyricism. Knowing the lyrics to a song is something that is easily lost. And I think that's a very important aspect of the music.
grew up in Yukon, Oklahoma, of all places. How did you get exposed to not just jazz, but also the saxophone?
Well, my father was a musician, and he played the Hammond B3, and he loved Jimmy Smith, so he could play anything on any Jimmy Smith record. Um, and he also played piano, so he had a photogenic memory and perfect pitch. So I was just in awe of him as a child. And I started on piano. I played classical piano since I was 6. And then when I was 9, I started asking for a saxophone. So my father bought me one for Christmas when I was on visitation with him. And that that was mind blowing. I took it out of the case and immediately played it, and I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. Um, Within the first year, I clung to that saxophone, and
Were you kind of like the Maggie Simpson of your middle and high
I was
school?
before her name's Maggie. Yeah,
Yeah.
before her, I was in third grade when they didn't even have band in the schools,
Wow.
and I'd carry my saxophone to school just because I had to have it, and I would play it in the music class and such. And I played classical for a long time. I played classical for about 5 or 6 years until I even delved into jazz. And I don't think my dad really wanted me to play jazz, but now he's proud. You know, he's happy. But back then, you know, it wasn't a place for women, and he would tell me that. And he convinced my private teacher to tell me the same thing. And um, in fact, I went to my first lesson when I was 9, and my dad had told him, you know, she wants to be a musician. Try to discourage her from being a musician. And he said, do you want to ride in a tour bus your whole life and wear polyester pants and shower in the bathrooms? And I just said, yeah. and, and, you know, for me, it didn't matter as long as I was playing music. And I knew that from an early age. So when I came across jazz, I mean, that just sparked all kinds of other, you know, harmonies and rhythms, you know, everything involved in jazz. And I fell in love with Charlie Parker, and there it was.
What was the first jazz record you ever bought?
Well, the first one I ever bought wasn't the first one I ever heard, but it was Josh Redman's Spirit of the Vanguard.
The double. Oh, I remember that record.
Yeah, yeah, that was amazing. I had the flu the week that I bought it, and I listened to that record every day. That got me through it. Yeah, that's an amazing record. Um,
Why was that record so amazing? Because as memory serves me correct, I'm a big Joshua Redman fan. Those first 4 records he put out were just, I mean, one right after the other. I mean, the self-titled record, then he went to Wish, and then he did the I mean,
mhm.
he did some unprecedented recordings. Those first 4 or 5 records.
He sure did. And the special thing about Josh is he's so lyrical, and he can play anything on the horn. You know, he's technically there. His lyricism is amazing. His tunes are really wonderful, and to me, that embodies, you know, a lot of what a jazz musician should have. He's current. You know, he'll play songs, you know, by James Brown or even, you know, Coldplay, you know, different artists. And his work with the Bad Plus was amazing. He's just an all around brilliant musician.
Who are some of your influences? And it doesn't have to be delegated to just jazz. Who's some of your mentors and heroes?
Mm. I mean, the first ones that come to mind are jazz. You know, so many alto players. You know, Kenny Garrett, Steve Wilson, Vincent Herring, Dick Oates. I studied with Victor Goines quite a long time, and Eric Alexander. There's so many people that helped me. Jimmy Green, Greg Osby, um, and I felt like along the way I was mentored by different people. As of the last 8 years or so, Jimmy Heath has been mentoring me, and in a you know, now I'm working and he doesn't say too much, you know, but for the first 5 years he sold me his alto, and because I like the sound of that alto much better than the one I was playing, and you know, he's just really been a gem in my life. Outside of jazz, I mean, I listen to a lot of things. Grew up listening to anything from, you know, grunge rock to, gospel music. I love Kim Burrell. I love, Pearl Jam at the same time. It's pretty wide. I'll go back to Oklahoma and get into some country because the town where I'm from, it's the same town Garth Brooks was from.
Wow.
So I have a very diverse background in music.
Don't feel bad. One of my first radio jobs was a country western disc jockey in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And yes, I mean, I got to dig Merle Haggard, and definitely I idolized Willie Nelson.
Oh, he's one of the greatest storytellers.
Yes, he is.
I love Willie Nelson. Yeah.
And Willie, less is more with him. And another thing I love about Willie, in his storytelling, he doesn't rush to tell the lyrics of the song.
No.
He's so honest on how he gets to the message of the song.
Yeah, his lyrics are brilliant. Just the stories he tells, and that's the one thing I do like about country music. And I also think Louis Armstrong said that too. So he wasn't wrong.
As a woman playing this music, do you encounter some of the same doors as your male counterparts? And if not, what are some of the things that you as a musician are working on as far as trying to be as equal as your counterparts?
I'm working on the music as much as I can, on my horn, on my abilities, on my knowledge of the music. It can always grow. Whether or not I'm recognized for that because I'm a woman or not, that's going to fall where it does. I used to fight, that, oh, I should be on this or want to do this, or, maybe I'm not getting these opportunities that some of the men were at, maybe college age or high school age. In the end, the thing that's important to me is what I'm bringing to the table. And if I'm bringing something worthy to the table, then I'm going to be happy.
Now in 2018, the record industry has changed. We've gone from vinyl to cassettes to MP3. Now we're back to albums and now CDs again, which, everything old is new again. And I never stopped buying vinyl and I never stopped buying CDs. As you're now recording music in your generation, what do you find your audiences listening to you? Are they buying MP3s? Are they buying cold CDs? What is your audience listening to you on now?
It depends where you're at in the world. I find that in Japan and Mexico especially, they will buy CDs. But in America, I sell more MP3s and I get more hits on social media and YouTube. I don't think people are necessarily buying the music anymore, at least in my experience. So when we put out an album, it's really to stay current and to put out the work that we've done. But sales aren't what they were when I started recording 10 years ago. And people are mostly buying MP3s or just Googling something on YouTube.
Now, this is, if my memory serves me correct, this is your fourth solo project, but this is your first album you've released in quite a while.
It is, and it's the first one on my record label. Yeah, and I just decided to go my own. I had some nice offers to put it out on a label, and I just wanted to start my own catalog, and it feels good to have that freedom.
So now the independent thing, which it has been happening for the last 15 years, is the best route for you right now.
I believe so, because I have a say in everything. I can decide the album cover, I can produce it, I can put the track order the way I like to. And if, like I said, if CDs aren't selling a whole lot, to me, what's the point of somebody else telling you how your album is going to be made if it's not going to, you know, satisfy you in other ways? When I look back, I want to be proud of the inventory that I've put out.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report, reporting live here at Dizzy's, Club Coca-Cola here at Jazz and Lincoln Center here in New York City. I'd like to congratulate Sharel Cassity. Make sure you go out and support her brand new record and her band, Elektra, which is available on her website, as well as you can order it on Amazon.com and Google Play. Also, I'd like to personally thank the staff and management here at Dizzy's Club Coca-Cola for their warm hospitality. Thank you, Desmond and Roland. You guys have done a fantastic job, as well as Lydia Liebman Publicity for arranging my time with Sharel. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column, as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.